Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Nasstar's Webcast Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about the art of IT outsourcing, and this is a part of our Nasstar Thought Leader Series. With me today, my name is Guy. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Nasstar, and with me today are our speakers, CEO of Nasstar Nigel Redwood and Nigel Powell, our guest journalist, technical writer at the Sunday Times and commentator at Sky TV. Nigel Redwood, Nigel Powell, gentlemen, hello.
Good afternoon, Guy.
Today we're going to talk about the art of IT outsourcing here. Now, few quick questions, few quick points. We're going to be talking around the subject using the SWOT model, a SWOT analysis. We'll be talking about the strengths, the opportunities, the weaknesses, and the threats there. Let's begin by talking about, if you do have any questions, by the way, as we're going through the webinar, look for the Ask Question button. If you click that and type your question in as you think of them, we'll answer all the questions at the end of the presentation. Now, moving on to the beginning of our presentation, let's define IT outsourcing. Let's define what we're talking about, really. So, Nigel, I'm going to begin this and talk to you first of all, because I think Nigel Powell isn't quite with us still. Nigel, how would you define IT outsourcing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very large subject, Guy. I mean, for me, it's about removing non-revenue or non-fee earning activity from within your business, i.e., removing any cost that isn't associated with delivering value or value add to the organization. So IT outsourcing, as with any outsourcing, is about handing over non-core business activities to experts, experts that focus daily on such an activity, so that it can give you a competitive edge over your competition who still try and do it internally.
Okay, how would we, if we had to talk about the kinds of activities if we had to define what elements of IT are being outsourced there, to put some context onto the conversation, Nigel, what would you say they are?
Well, if you look through our client base, Guy, we have a whole range of clients. Some clients will look for an end-to-end service, whereby we're delivering the actual physical compute on the desk, all of the local network, the wide area connectivity, then the hosting and delivery of all of their applications out of our data centers. And that really takes care of the delivery of the IT to the end user. But also many customers then want us to go up the value chain and also get involved in the actual business process and application consultancy and development of their ways of working. Because what's key with IT, 80% of it within any organization is the same as your competitor, and there's 20% of it that will really give you a differentiator. And the idea of outsourcing is that we can take care of the 80% and really facilitate you to focus on that 20% that will give you the differentiator. So it really can be an end-to-end outsource, or some clients choose very much just to outsource a specific element. So they might have all of the local infrastructure covered, but they need all of their data and their applications securing centrally in data centers and delivering back to them and managed. So there is a range of services that people can outsource where IT is involved.
Just to touch on the main key drivers of why people are outsourcing, the one that I hear the most here, Nigel, is I just don't want to manage it. It's not my business. As increasingly as IT becomes a core function, it becomes the business. You could be in textiles, you could be in legal services or financial services, but increasingly IT as a business is everything. And it's becoming a lot more common, for people to say, I just don't want to manage it.
It is becoming more complex, but at the same time, it's becoming more commodity as well, and which is giving the consumer or the business many more opportunities and things to take advantage of. For me, I mean, where we've specialised over the years is actually focusing on specific vertical markets. And what you find in each vertical sector, there'll be different drivers. So if you take the legal sector, for example, there could well be regulatory pressures and drivers that compel a practice to look to outsource, because delivering an in-house IT solution to the SRA requirements in terms of continuity and disaster recovery can be very onerous on an in-house IT department and expensive. Same with any regulated sector, really. But there can be also compelling events. So, downtime, loss of key personnel. We've had clients that have come to us because they've had an IT manager for, let's say, 15 years. And he wants to retire or move on, and they can't see a way forward without that person. So loss of key personnel is often a driver. Security breaches, the need and the worry over cyber security continues to be a driver for a reason that people outsource, because to keep data safe and secure in this day and age is a continual battle that never stops, and to keep abreast of all of the security requirements from an in-house perspective it is very difficult. Other reasons to adopt outsourcing, it could be business strategy. For example, if you've got a firm that's on a M&A strategy, then having IT outsourced or hosted centrally can really facilitate that mergers and acquisitions strategy by bringing your new business on very quickly. And efficiency, the life cycle of your IT hardware, internal IT department may be struggling to keep abreast with the business needs and things like that. So there's all kinds of compelling drivers to move to outsourcing.
It's I guess it really depends on what's important to you in the business, what elements of the technology is relevant to the business you need to retain in-house, and what you can just get rid of, what you don't need to manage. Lots of different drivers there. Let's move on to our SWOT analysis, Nigel. I love a SWOT analysis. I've been doing them since school. It seemed like a great framework for this conversation. Starting with the strengths of IT outsourcing. Well, we know the IT outsourcing model can make you stronger, but how can it make you stronger? What's the force multiplier there that you see?
I think there's a range of things here. For me, one of the big things is a reduction of risk. If you look at all of the data compliance regulations, certainly that are about to come in over the coming years, but also the cost of not being able to do business in this day and age is so significant, because everything is here and now. Your consumer expects you to be able to supply a service or a product ordered today, arrive tomorrow. And so a big part of the strength of outsourcing your IT is a reduction of risk. From a disaster recovery, business continuity and security planning perspective, an outsourced organization will be able to put those policies in place in a much more stringent and beneficial way than non-outsourcing. So reduction of risk is up there for me in terms of a strength. The other one for me is about agility, facilitating agility. A key thing with a model like Nasstar, for example, is that we deliver services on a per user per month basis. We deliver applications on a per user per month basis, and customers can choose to flex that up or down as their demands and their business requirements change. So they have a cost model that suddenly reflects their business nature. If their business is doing well and they're growing, then they don't have to gamble and invest in a load of fixed assets from a server perspective. They know that their IT will grow with them and reduce down. But agility is not only about flexibility in terms of user numbers. Agility is about the ability to spin up new services, the ability to test, the ability to push the boundaries from an IT perspective that you won't necessarily have in-house when you've got the constraints of a limited number of people or a limited number of hardware or software experience. So agility is up there for me. Another strength has got to be the flexible way of working, the ability to be able to access your system from any location, be it a client site, be it an office location, be it home, and then on any device, be it you'll bring your own device, Apple device or PC, laptop, tablet, but to do that securely and in a compliant fashion. So to be able to give a fee earner or to be able to give a sales consultant the ability to access their data from any location, but knowing you're doing so securely, knowing the data is encrypted, knowing the data is secure, knowing you can remove access to that data, is really key, because you've got to be flexible in the way you allow people to work, but you've got to be able to do it securely. And the technologies to do that are onerous to deliver, and that's why an outsourcer can really help with that. The next strength has got to be the flexible cost model, a move from fixed asset cost to an operational cost. But also it's about predictability. If you employ 250 people one month, what your bill is going to be. If you employ 220 the next, what your bill is going to be. Whereas traditionally budgeting for IT is very difficult. You get spend that isn't predictable, you get maintenance costs, contracts you weren't anticipating, and all types of manner of costs that is very difficult to predict, you remove out when you go outsourcing. The other part of outsourcing is the other strength, sorry, Guy, finally, is about two things really. Adopting a set of very experienced people. You suddenly have a very large IT department as opposed to a small IT team. But also you adopt an evergreen cycle, a cycle of perpetual upgrade ability or choice that often isn't available when you're doing it internally.
I was just going to say, Nigel, what is very clear is how strong you are talking about the strengths of the outsourcing model. You've said so much information there, it's difficult for me to summarize it. However, I do notice we've been joined by Nigel Powell, our renowned tech correspondent and journalist. Nigel, how are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We're just talking about the strengths of IT outsourcing. It's really clear that Nigel Redwood knows what he's talking about. Have you got anything to add around this subject, the strengths of the model itself and how it can make you stronger?
I mean, the thing is, I'm sorry about the technical glitches, but from where I'm standing, it looks like a lot of the real drivers for outsourcing IT will revolve around efficiency and making sure that you're absolutely focused on your core competencies as opposed to trying to spread yourself too thin across many areas. I mean, we've seen in the past, obviously, very successful models in that way with companies like General Motors. Well, of course, they had an advantage with spinning off EDS in 1996, but it still shows that outsourcing done properly can be very successful.
Yeah, and Nigel, to add to that, I think also, you say, Guy, what are the top benefits or what are the top strengths? It really does differ from sector to sector. If you take the legal sector, I would say compliance, M&A facilitation and efficiency are right up there for reasons. But then if you took something like the recruitment sector, the ability to work anytime, day or night, anywhere, the ability to stop data leaks when consultants leave because of the high turnover of staff, and the ability to embrace new technologies to find candidates and find stock are drivers. So really, when you look through the vertical markets, the strengths and the drivers can be different, and it does. There is a direct correlation between business and business in the same vertical markets.
We've got a few questions, by the way, gentlemen. Just looking at them, I get the impression we have a few legal gentlemen in the group here. You say you've got experience in the legal sector. What is the benefit of this to your clients on a day-to-day basis, Nigel Redwood?
What's the benefit of the experience? It's back to knowing what's important to the client. When they phone up and they've got a problem with digital dictation, it's about straight away knowing why and how they use digital dictation. Or let's say from a strategic perspective, your case management, you've had your case management for many years, you can talk to your business relationship manager about what the trends in the industry are and where people are going with case management and CRM and things like that. So it's about the end user experience but also the strategic experience. That if you know the sector, you can have the strategic conversations with the stakeholders, and you can have proper support for the end users. Yeah. And then finally, it's a community. We've got, I think we've got many law firms. I think we've got 10 law firms over 100 users. We've got 5 over 200 users. We've got, I think, about 40 law firms in total. And actually, they've developed a community between them. And our stakeholders forum, they will have, we meet with all of our clients on an annual basis over 2 days. And you'll see that the legal customers get together and they learn from one another and they bounce ideas off one another. So it's about being part of a community as well as anything else.
You answered the next question too, actually. What sort of size legal clients do you work with? Is there a size of firm that works best for your solution?
So on that front, we've got small startup legal firms that have broken away. So our smallest legal client is about 10 fee earners. All the way through to we've got clients in the top 50 with 300 to 400 users. So there's a good breadth and depth of legal clients.
I guess that the answer to that question is how long is a piece of string, right? We adapt the service, the spec to suit the client and their requirements, the number of users they have. Difficult question to answer, but I think you did. The last one deviates from the topic of legal IT onto security. We're all hearing a lot in the news about cybercrime. We certainly are. What are you doing to protect your clients?
It's a continual threat, if I'm honest, and a continual process. So we have a three-pronged attack. We have a control and compliance manager, which is focused on security. He works with a dedicated ethical hacker internally, an internal employed ethical hacker that will look at our customer systems, will look at their web portals, will look at the systems they use and try and hack into them, and where we can hack in and find weaknesses, we'll work with the client to then address it. We're also taking clients through a cyber essentials program, because we can do what we need to do in order to be able to secure the servers, but actually 80% of all cyber activities and cyber crime is preventable through people and process. So that means that it doesn't matter how good and up to date your servers are, if your people and your policies and your processes aren't good, then you're going to have weaknesses. So we actually work with our clients now to take them through cyber essentials. So all of their staff go through cyber awareness, all of their local IT infrastructure, the phones, the PCs, everything are all audited and managed, and so that's a big area where we come out of just the area of looking after the key systems and we work locally. The other and final part we do around cyber security is we work with a partner called Phalanx, who specialise in cyber crime, and they're a big influence in terms of the defence mechanisms that we deploy, and then also we are part of the cyber crime information sharing program, which is called CISP, and so we get a lot of warnings from that program in terms of the threats within the region and within the UK, and more widespread than that, so we can take proactive steps when we see threats that other people are suffering. So the simple answer is it's a continual agitation for improvement on security. We will never ever be 100% secure, and no IT provider outsourcer can ever say they can be. But what you've got to do is be always vigilant, both at a hosting level, but also with the end users.
Makes sense. Nigel, do you have any Nigel P? Do you have any questions surrounding anything we talked about today you wanted to cover before we finish off?
I was fascinated to hear about the legal, having come from a legal background, the legal specialization. Are there any particularly challenging aspects about the legal sector that other sectors don't have in terms of IT?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's outcomes that are defined by the SRA, by the Sisters Regulation Authority, that you have to bear in mind when you're designing the technical solution. So, delivering IT for a recruitment firm, you have to take different steps to delivering IT for a legal firm, with the SRA requirements in mind. And then you've got the specific requirements of the end users. You know, the way that they track time, the way that they'll use extensive technologies around printing, the way that they'll use extensive integration between client portals and case management systems and things like that. What you typically find with a law firm is that they have a lot of applications that are all integrated in many different ways. And so I think law firms are often much more complex to support and deliver than other verticals that we specialize in.
You're talking about legacy systems and things from the past.
Yeah, legacy, but also you know new. So I'll give you an example. Yeah, there's a great product out there at the moment called Recoup, which tracks time. You know, that's a new application, but has a lot of complexities around hosting it and being able to deliver it. So, as the legal sector is under a lot of pressure to drive efficiencies and drive down cost and up on automation, so the requirement of IT goes up as a result. So yes, legacy applications, but also new applications are a continual demand.
Thank you.
And I guess that, gentlemen, brings us to the end of our presentation. Let me just double check there are no more questions. No. At this point, I'd like to jump in and make a quick word from our sponsor. Today's webcast is sponsored by Nastarian, a digitally native publication focused on opinion, analysis, and insight. If you're interested in reading fresh news and knowledge around what you do, the IT in your business, head over to our blog, blog.nasstar.com. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking part in this conversation, and thank you for watching. If anybody does have any further questions, call us or reach out to us by email. And Nigel R, thank you so much. Good conversation.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Nigel. Thanks to all the attendees as well today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.